Okay, let's do it. It's almost December. We're about to move into Christmassy fan casts. But I've been saying I'll do this one for a while. And I almost did it as a Nightmare fan cast. Purposefully cast it badly because I really don't like Madagascar. But I promised I wouldn't do Nightmare fan casts unless I think the concept of the film is truly irredeemable. If I think that I could make a version of this that I would like, then I'm going to cast it as a regular fan cast and try to come up with some ideas. And my main thing for Madagascar is that I don't like how actually stuck up all of the characters are. The four leads are so annoying to me. And I just wanted to find ways to just take them and make them, like, different. To add a level of endearing quality to them, because you have to have something there. Otherwise, they just suddenly go from irredeemably annoying, snooty characters to suddenly nice, and they don't really feel like nice at the end. You need to cast actors who can give off more of that vibe. So for Alex the Lion, for instance, he's a cocky, confident guy. He's also a funny guy. And yes, there is a level of... You have to keep a level of upper-class New York annoying prick to him. Sorry, New Yorkers, not sorry. And for me, Ben Stiller, he's good at playing those sort of roles, where he's very irritating and then comes around and turns better near the end. But he's better at doing it in live action. In animated form, I just felt like he's a prick in Act 1. He's a prick in Act 2. He's still a prick in Act 3. It just didn't really come off like he was improving over the course of the film. That's the big annoyance for me. None of these characters really felt like they were going anywhere over the course of the film. And the whole point of taking asshole characters at the start of the film is making them good at the end. I'm going to cast Paul Rudd as Alex. Why? Because Paul Rudd is the most endearing man in the world. So no matter how much of a kind of like asshole character you try to make him at the start, he's going to easily come off over the course of the film as becoming good, becoming nicer, becoming kinder. Tick, tick, tick. That's what I want to see. That's what I need to see to give a shit about this film, especially with Alex. Now, Ben Stiller, no problem with him. Absolutely not. He can still play this role. But I don't really know why it matters. There's almost all of the characters are animals, so I mean, I say this is in live action. It hardly makes a difference, but I'd like to see just an endearing version of Alex by the end of the film, because I've watched the original back a few times, and I never feel like he's in any way becoming a nicer, better person or character. Marty is easy. Marty was originally Chris Rock. I felt like I liked that. I felt like Chris Rock could absolutely do the kind of role you wanted and were looking for. He didn't quite, and I know that's more down to the direction of the character, again, was very much into the still kind of a jerk, not half as much as Alex. Nobody's half as bad as Alex. But if you're recasting him today, you want to make sure that you're casting again somebody who can really bring that humor to life again, while making sure it's somebody who can play endearing. I'm actually going to go for Kevin Hart, who would be the kind of basic choice, I feel, in this role. But if you've seen things like Fatherhood, not even, just Jumanji, he really does bring a hugely endearing quality to the characters he plays, in a way that you don't expect, because he's such a funny man. He's cast in things so focused on him being the funny man that you forget that he's actually a good actor. And he does, especially in things like Jumanji, that is a very similar situation. It's a family film. It's a group of people who really come around over the course of the film. And in fact, his character, especially in the first Jumanji film, is very much a bit of a dick who comes around and is nice by the end of the film. So that's kind of perfect. That's exactly... I don't think Marty is that bad at any point in the film. I think all three of the others come off as much more pampered, annoying characters than he does. But it's valuable to have somebody who can definitely really play with the emotion of it along the way. Gloria, again, didn't feel like she was that bad. She was pampered, very pampered. And then kind of irritating, not that bad. And then by the end of the film, she was fine. I was fine with her. Her and Marty, I was fine with by the end of the film. It was okay. I'm going to cast Zoe Saldana because I again feel like we've clearly seen Zoe Saldana play with, well, both CGI characters a lot, unusual characters who have strange upbringings. It's kind of valuable here. And just the sassiness. I feel like the sassiness is literally Gloria's primary personality trait. And that is a problem with all these characters. There is a lack of depth to almost all of them. So that is an issue that you would probably want to try and fix, at least a little bit. Give them a little bit of something else. But Gloria's main purpose is to fall in love with the giraffe. Do we have to? Do we have to do that? I don't think we have to do that, but okay. Yeah, okay, whatever. Zoe Saldana is great. She's great at playing with the emotions. She's great at comedy. And she's great at just being that kind of angry character who comes around over the course of the film. That's literally Gamora. Literally Gamora. Melman is maybe the hardest to recast because, he's just a dick. Yep. David Schwimmer. He was just playing Ross from Friends, but a little bit more into medication. And there's something about that style of character who just comes off as irritating and doesn't really get better. Do I really... I don't want to see him get with Gloria. I don't want it. At no point do I go, yeah, let's do that. Let's see the hippo fuck the giraffe. Let's not. And at no point do I really go, oh, you know what, he's coming around and I'm starting to like him. And I think the way to get around that is, yes, you can have him be this fraidy cat character, but to do that, you want to make him more, in my opinion, boyish. You want to give him more of that boyish charm, because that's going to help him come around. That's going to help me come around to the idea of wanting to see him get the girl. Still don't want to fuck the giraffe, but it's going to help with that, and it's just going to feel nicer. It's just going to be easier for this nervous, boyish character who might be irritating at the start and feel spoiled to come around, become this wild animal or whatever. None of them feel like they become wild animals by the end, and have this actual arc to him. It's such an improvement. So I want to cast Dylan O'Brien, because even though he's reached his 30s now, in things like Love and Monsters, he was this nervous character, useless, didn't want to go outside at the beginning of the film. He still had this very much boyish charm to him. I think he was playing quite a bit younger than he actually is, which helps. And then, over the course of the film, he became capable. He became useful. He was actually doing stuff, and he got the girl, and I wanted to see him get the girl. So that is all huge for Melman's character, I think, and that's why I want to see that. King Julian, very much, you just need to cast an ultimate memer. And along the way, I realized, if we were doing this in live action, wouldn't you want some actual, like, really good meme director to be directing this as well? So why don't we get, for both King Julian and the director, Taika Waititi. Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. Any role he does is hilarious. It gave me the thought that if you wanted, and this is a little bit out there, if you wanted to make this film work with these characters, I would almost do it in mockumentary style. I would almost film it like a mockumentary. Have cutaway interviews with the characters. I feel like that would do so much for it as a film. I feel like Taika directing that it's similar to what he did with What We Do in the Shadows. It's ridiculous. Like, what the hell is this doing as a mockumentary? This is ridiculous. It's so out there crazy that it might just work. And with Taika directing it, it probably would. And with him as King Julian, he would just be hilarious and memey and funny, which is exactly what you're looking for if you're not just recasting Sacha Baron Cohen. Maurice should be the villain. There's no... I mean, the Fosses are the villains. There's nothing to them as characters. They're hungry. They're natural wild predators. There's nothing... Those aren't villains. If you wanted a surprise in this version beyond what the original animated one did, I would finally have Maurice crack and try to dethrone King Julian or something, or try to work with the Fosses to get the outsiders murdered or something like that. It adds a whole new layer of actual villain character to the film. It makes perfect sense because King Julian's a dick, And it could also play very funnily into that mockumentary style I was talking about. And if you were doing that, I wouldn't cast someone with so much of a comedic background. I would cast somebody like Idris Elba to be Maurice, to just kind of have that deep villainous voice who finally snaps and goes, "No, no more of this." I think that'll be hilarious. Mort, I mean, Charlie Day? I think I would cast Charlie Day. He's just great at being side character comedic relief. He's so good in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And you just need to drive his voice an octave or two higher than it normally is to get it to the point where he's basically just Mort. You do need to cast the Penguins, because, come on, we're not going to delve too much today into the sequels and characters from those, but you do need to cast the Penguins. I love the Penguins. I didn't really love their film, but I probably liked it more than I liked any of the 3 Madagascar ones, so that's, you know. If you're casting Skipper, and you're not casting Tom McGrath, who has always played Skipper with a great deal of competence, I would probably cast somebody like John C. Reilly. Because, again, he's got that sort of comedic leader voice, I think. He's got a similar sort of... It sounds authoritative, but it is also funny and ludicrous, and he doesn't actually know what he's talking about half the time. That's what you'd expect in a John C. Reilly character. Also, endearing. Look at Wreck-It Ralph. He can do voice acting endearingly in an amazing way that I would really love to see in that. I think it would be perfect. I don't know that the Penguins are really there to be very endearing, even in this version, but it will be interesting. Kowalski is the smart penguin. He's the one that's smart. That's his personality. And the Penguins do get more personality in, like, their show. They had a lot of show, and there was quite a lot of interesting, fun episodes. Yeah, you know what? It was a lot of fun. I'd cast Benedict Cumberbatch. And I know Benedict Cumberbatch has already had a Madagascar role. He already played the wolf in the Penguins film. And he does struggle to say the word penguins, which, yeah. But he's great at playing these kind of intelligent roles. It's kind of almost, you'd want him to be like Sherlocky, in the kind of exasperated with Skipper, because he's the smart one that's actually coming up with plans and making things and being useful. Kind of exasperated with him at times, for sure. Rico, it doesn't really talk so much, but that kind of like noises and just natural weirdness is something I'd normally cast somebody like Alan Tudyk for. Yeah, I like Alan Tudyk. I think he's got a real range to the roles he can play. He's done like robots very well, and just a lot of characters who you go, oh, they don't really talk. Oh, that's Alan Tudyk, seriously? Especially for like Disney. He does that a lot recently. I think he did some role in Encanto, and I saw it during the credits and went, what? Private is hard, because you do need to cast quite young. And I know people are going to say Tom Holland in the comments, and I don't. Stop it. Please. Let me try to be creative and cast somebody else. I want to cast Asa Butterfield, because I love Sex Education, and in that, as Otis, he is very much this nervy, young character, coming to grips with things in the world, and he becomes more confident over the course of the seasons, as the show goes on, which I really like. So, perfect for Private, who you would want to see kind of slowly growing up over the course of several live-action Madagascar films. Don't do this. Don't do it. I don't want to see it. Finally, though, you need Nana, because that is over the course of the films, that's the most constant villainous presence you get. Yeah, in a great way, in a hilarious way. And it is the one chance to actually cast a human, so a live-action character, in this live-action fan cast. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to cast Carol Kane, because she is perfect for the embodiment of our cartoony, just lunatic old lady role in live action. Most old actresses couldn't pull off that level of incredible meminess in live action. They could pull it off in a voice role, but in live action, you're looking at Carol Kane. You need Carol Kane. She's fantastic. And she would absolutely beat the shit out of a CGI Paul Rudd lion really well. That's all for this one, folks. There are a lot of Christmassy fan casts coming up, I assure you. So let me know what you want to see in the comments. If you want to vote on the polls to see which one gets in, you can get a membership to the channel down below, but you don't have to. You can just comment and get your ideas on the poll. Take your chances. But you should subscribe.